Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, really warm welcome to our Northern Care Alliance annual members meeting for 2025. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. I know we've got colleagues who are members of the public. We've got governors with us. Some of our partner organisations are represented, and of course our board as well. We are actually going to be recording this meeting, so hopefully everyone's comfortable with that. We're assuming that if you stay on the call, that you are consenting to the recording of that. Obviously, if you don't wish to consent to that, then we'd ask that you leave the meeting, because we're recording this so that we can post this on our website for a wider audience. So this meeting is a great opportunity for us to really reflect on our achievements over the past year, and also to acknowledge some of the challenges that we've faced. And I'm sure you can appreciate that has been particularly challenging for us over the last 12 months. But hopefully it gives us an opportunity to share with you how we're improving our approach to quality safety and the experience and care that we provide to all of our communities. But I'd also like to take the opportunity to recognise our incredible colleagues as well across the Trust, who day in and day out go above and beyond for the people that use our services, often in demanding circumstances, actually. And their dedication and professionalism are the foundation of everything that we do. And we are absolutely, truly grateful for their commitment. And I also just want to say a big thank you to our governors and our partners. So without their engagement, we wouldn't be shaping the services in the way that we are to ensure that they remain transparent and accountable, and focused on obviously delivering the best possible care that we can provide. We have also the minutes of the annual members meeting from 2025, which was held on the 9th of November last year. They're available on our website, as are previous annual members meetings, if anybody wants to take a look at those. So they're available on our website. But now I'm going to invite our Chief Executive, Dr. Owen Williams, to talk us through some of the key achievements and challenges over the last 12 months. Owen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to members and colleagues who've joined this conversation. It's great to have this opportunity to share some time together and just talk through where we've been and hopefully where we're looking to go. So first of all, I think we've got a little bit of a film which we'd kind of like to share, which I think captures how we want to say so much thanks to our patients, but also to our NCA colleagues who've really put in a shift in the last year or so. So Savannah, if we could play that film, please.
So I decided to donate my kidney because my partner had poor kidney function and he declined quite rapidly. The excitement of potentially saving somebody's life and improving the quality of life. I've always given blood, and I tried donating platelets once, and I was also on the bone marrow register, so I felt that this was my time to actually, properly help somebody in a really fulfilling way.
Oh my God, I recognize you. What are you doing?
Oh God.
No, not even a clutch.
No.
No. Amazing.
I know.
So at some point, it's almost tempting to stop the conversation right there and then, because hopefully people will agree that that really does capture a sense of where we've been and what we're trying to be as the Northern Care Alliance and the people that works within it and the people that we serve. But just in terms of a quick kind of snapshot review of where we were over 24-25, there's no doubt it's been an absolutely challenging year, and sometimes it's felt like several steps forward and then challenges that kind of drag us back a little bit. But there are some things that we've made some progress, and I want to just talk about some of the contrasts around that. So there's no doubt that we've made good progress around reducing the long waits for our service users, patients, and their families. There was a point in time a couple of years ago where, in some cases, you had to wait over 2 years for potentially a procedure, and we've now moved that forward significantly. There's a lot of work to do around that, but certainly, we've got the right momentum and we are going in the right direction, particularly in areas like cancer, which are very, very important. Obviously, in terms of the ability to get round and provide care to people as quickly as we can. There are some things that we need to do in that respect, though, to help ourselves. So, for example, the way that we currently utilise our theatres, I think there's room for improvement in that. I think that is shared amongst our clinical colleagues for sure. And there is a real desire to try and drive progress in respect of some of that work. We have made progress on things like the friends and family test. We've done quite well in terms of, averaging, around the 90-odd% mark in terms of people's feelings about patient satisfaction and working towards getting that patient-centred care. But again, there's some work that we still need to do around, for example, infection prevention control, where we probably saw things like C. difficile probably not being in where we would want that to be, and an increase from where we were in the previous year. Again, there's a lot of work going on across the organisation, and going back to some of the things that perhaps sometimes can get lost, the basics. We're working really, really hard, the hand washing, and again, encouraging everybody who's a part of this conversation today, everybody's voice and encouraging people to do the right thing in terms of infection prevention control is really, really important. I always hesitate when I have to talk about the money side of things. But last year, in terms of cost improvement planning, we got to a position of achieving £90 million cost improvement planning against a target of £85.6 million. We worked very, very hard in trying to make sure that quality impact assessments and equality impact assessments were where they needed to be as we tried to achieve those cost improvement targets. But there's no doubt about it that we've had to work really hard with our regulator colleagues, such as the CQC, NHS England, particularly in relation to getting the balance right in terms of quality and staffing levels. And I want to pay some special thanks to our trade union colleagues who have worked hard to represent their members in what has been a very challenging environment. And we do hope to want to continue to work hard with our trade union colleagues, because without them, we can't make the progress that we'd want to make. So I would hope that as we continue into the next year and beyond, we can really work hard. And it's important because we still have sickness absence levels that are higher than we would want them to be. And we've got a high proportion of short-term illness that we need to work through. And as I say again, we can't just do that on an island on our own. We do need to do that with our colleagues and also our trade union partners. There has been some good things and some good progress on areas like mandatory training compliance, and with things like Oliver McGowan and stuff like that. It is important. So, there was a time when our compliance was nowhere near where it is now, but it's good to see that we're kind of at 93% for the year that we've just left, and that's good. And also, I think it's important as well that we're seeing the time to hire has improved to 15 days, which is below the target of 20 days. And that's important, not just in terms of making sure as far as possible that we've got the right levels of staffing where we need it to be, but it's also the economic impact that it has on the wider community, which is important as well. Because remember, a lot of our colleagues live within our local communities, live within our hospitals, live within the footprints of our community services as well. So it is really, really vital that we use the opportunity to recruit where we're able to do so. And I think it's also important because in these challenging times that we've got, sometimes we can get into a narrative around staff turnover. But I think it's been sort of pleasing, certainly in the year 24-25, to see that our staff turnover overall stayed below 10% for most of the year and reached 9.3% at March 2025. And that's probably the lowest level since February 2024. Still slightly above a target of 9%, but I think there is something to recognise in terms of the progress that's been made. So there've been various highlights from the year that we've just left. As I say, we've still got some challenges around the Care Quality Commission, and they're good challenges in terms of the things that they've identified that we need to improve on. But we've really been working well with the likes of national colleagues, working with our own clinical colleagues to improve care through things like Get It Right First Time, and really had a real focus on trying to improve and making sure that the money doesn't become the only thing that we talk about. We have to be honest that for a lot of colleagues who work in our organisation, there is a sense that the money does override. But I can tell you, certainly from a board's perspective and a desire across the organisation, we really do know that it's about patient safety and quality, and that's what needs to be front and centre, regardless of what we do and how we do it, and whatever pressures that we get nationally. But delivering care to over 1 million people is brilliant. And again, I really want to stress our thanks for the efforts of many, many colleagues. In terms of the external auditors review, again, I won't use the language of no surprises because I can't assume that everybody has a shared understanding. But generally, financial sustainability remains a challenge for us. We are a trust that has been in a deficit position for quite some time. We have made progress on reducing our underlying deficit, but that is going to be increasingly challenging as we move forward. And I would suggest that trusts of our size, many of them are in a challenged position as we work forward around that. But the external auditors review, I think, is a fair reflection of where we're at and where we are currently at the moment in time. So I think just in terms of that forward look, getting to a place where we can provide affordable care, but in a way that we never lose sight of the service user or patient and their families in front of us becomes important. We're doing a lot of work around improving our governance. The chair has commissioned some work to see how certainly we can improve the quality side of what we do alongside the financial management side. I'm particularly excited by the prospect of the clinically led model and really getting to a position where it's our clinical colleagues who are closest to our service users who are helping to drive forward where we need to be into the future. And that's alongside the NHS 10-year plan. And I'm also quite excited by the fact that we hopefully will be putting a lot of work into designing our own vision for the next 10 to 15 years. And hopefully everybody, again, who's involved in this conversation this evening will be involved in that piece of work. And we do move in a time where the government and the changes that we're seeing in NHS England, changes that we're seeing in our integrated care boards, more of a role for the Department of Health and Social Care, and linked to that things like our national oversight framework that we're now working in, means that there's new requirements. And what we've got to make sure is that as we have this national oversight framework, we've got to be in a position where that doesn't dominate our thinking. So we're kind of hitting the target and missing the point. And missing the point would be losing sight of our service users, patients, and colleague well-being. So we need to make sure that we've got the right focus. And that's why understanding our people and making sure that whatever we do organisationally is aligned to meeting people's needs. will be really, really important, and really will be important in terms of making those 3 words at the bottom of the slides around care, appreciate and inspire really, truly and meaningful. So at that point, Chair, if I can hand back to you if I can.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Owen. That's really helpful. Lots of things to be proud of, I think, and obviously it's still some challenges ahead. So thank you for taking us through that. The chair's report that I'm presenting is really just an advice around some of the changes that have happened in the board and governors over the last 12 months, and when I'm thinking particularly about the time period from April 2024 to March 2025. So there have been changes in the board subsequently, but they're not the ones that we'll be referencing at the annual members meeting. And what we will do, and I think we did this last year, was following this meeting on our website, we'll detail all of the colleagues that are part of the board, past and present, and the same for governors as well. So they're a point of reference for the public and for anybody who wants to take a look at that. But I think it's just worth noting our thanks and appreciation to some colleagues who were part of the board who have now left. We've got 7 non-executive director places on the board and myself as the chair, and then we have 6 executive directors, and our photographs are all there on the screen for you to observe. Probably wouldn't appreciate some of those being shared more widely, but there they are. I think it's worth saying our thanks to a couple of colleagues who've left the board in that period of time that I noted. So we had Craig Carter, who was our Director of Finance previously, Nikki Clark, who was our People Director, Jack Sharp, who was the Director of Strategy, and Eileen Fairhurst, who was the Chair of the Trust for a period of time as well. So I want to put on record our thanks and appreciation to those colleagues for their contribution to the board. And we also had some new starters to the board in that time as well. So some of who are on the call with us today. So Gertie Nick Phillip, who's with us today, Rabina Shah, who was a non-exec director, but also kindly stepped into the interim chair role for a period of time. So I want to appreciate Rabina for her contribution too. And we also had Chris Harrison, who joined us as a new non-exec director during that time. So as I said, we will make some notes on the website for colleagues to reference exactly who's on the board. Obviously, some time has elapsed since March 25, so there have been some further changes to the board that we'll update in at the appropriate time in the annual members meeting next year. We also have a number of governors representing all of the places that we represented in, but also we have colleague governors, and we also have partner governors from our local authorities and the University of Manchester and the University of Salford. So in total we have 31 governors. We've got a couple of vacancies at the moment. We have 3 public vacancies and 2 appointed governor vacancies, and we'll be making arrangements in early 2026 to carry out elections and provide opportunities to fill those places on our board as well. So that's just for information. Our general meetings are held throughout the year, and obviously our annual members meeting is open to the public, and we have a number of members of the public joining us today, which is absolutely fantastic to see. So I'm going to hand over to our lead governor, who's played an absolutely fantastic role over the last 12 months. She's going to tell us a little bit about the work of the Council of Governors and in particular the progressing of our leadership and public engagement strategy. So I'm going to hand over to Anne Gavin Daly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon to all our members and colleagues. I just want to give an overview of the work of the Council of Governors over the last 12 months. Savannah, if you could just pass on to the next slide, please. So we cover a very wide-ranging area. We want to be clear that we've got Bury, Salford, Rochdale and Oldham, and our governors represent members in all those areas. As the Chair mentioned, we've got 31 governors. if you just go to the next slide, Savannah, just to explain, we have 16 public governors, and these governors, the public governors, provide two-way communication between our members and the governors, and also liaise with local communities and with the trust staff. We have now 9 staff governors who very proactively engage with the staff, and we're very grateful for their feedback in the work that they do. And then we have the 6 appointed governors, and we have 1 out of area governor who has quite a mammoth task of representing every area outside the 4 areas I showed you on the map. But so that's our 31 governors who have been very proactive in the last year. We'll just go to the next slide, please. So in terms of our duties, we have 2 statutory responsibilities as governors. Our key one is to represent the interest of members and the wider public. And secondly, and just as importantly, holding our non-executive director colleagues to account for the performance of the board. And in terms of the next part of the presentation, I just want to illustrate how we do both those things. Savannah, if you just move on. So briefly, it's representing the members, it's engaging with patients and staff. And all that is underpinning our work to drive and support the Trust's Vision 10 and the strategy and the future strategy, as Owen mentioned. Hopefully we'll be engaged in that. And our work over the last 12 months has been to try and strengthen our role as governors and strengthen our engagement with our members. And I'll illustrate some of the ways that we do that. We move on to the next slide, please. So one of the things that we did this year, which was very important, we have a strategy, a membership and public engagement strategy. We revised this year with input from governors across the Northern Care Alliance. And we've given ourselves some challenging targets over the next 2 or 3 years to strengthen our governors' engagement, strengthen our membership engagement. And we monitor that at regular basis through our membership and engagement subcommittee of the Council of Governors. This is the working arm that tries to do a lot of background work. We, as I say, have this quite substantial programme of work to deliver. And I'll illustrate some of the key aspects of that have been going on this year. We try and engage with our members as much as we possibly can, and we try and share our learning from the engagement with patients and the public through the portal that we have, so that when we get feedback from patients and public and staff, we can look at that, we can monitor trends, and we can share that with the management team to make sure that we can give feedback to our patients. I think that as governors, we recognise that we can work in a variety of different ways. We actually, many of us have got volunteers already, and on a day-to-day basis or in our day job, we're actually engaging with the public and our members, and we bring back some very valuable information. At the last board, we illustrated the impact of this engagement, and we were able to share some examples of good practice and areas for improvement. We, as a group, we share and we liaise on an informal as well as in a formal basis with all our governors, and I think that everybody has a network that they can tap into as governors. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Had a little bit of a technical hitch at my side. We, in terms of holding our non-executives to account, we all are able to attend regularly our board, trust board meetings. We can observe.
We've lost the sound, I think, Anne, from you. I don't know if you're having some technical issues. Okay, we'll give Anne a second. She's left us, so I'm guessing she's going to rejoin. So we'll give her a minute. Obviously, these slides will be available on the website as well afterwards. So if we don't get a chance to get through them, although it'd be great to hear it directly from Anne because she does such a fantastic job. Elizabeth, if you've got your hand up, is it in relation to the meeting?
I just thought whilst we were waiting for Anne to join, it might be useful for the public to hear that, you know, I, for example, am a new governor, and under Anne's extremely professional leadership, you're able to come on, get different opportunities for engagement, everything that we share in terms of direct care as people who are also in receipt of some of the care from some of the hospitals that we represent, are able to share that in a manner where direct questions can be answered, but also that change can also occur. Positive change can occur real time from our engagement. So I'm just filling in space.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, appreciate that. Okay, colleagues, I think what I'm going to suggest is, because there were a number of different slides that Anne was going to take us through, I think she's covered off the two key main ones, which were around public engagement and participation, and Elizabeth kindly illustrated some of the difference that that's making in terms of feeding that back into the trust. And the second, obviously, most important role for governors is the holding the non-exec directors to account. And before we lost her, was kindly setting that out for us. I'll just touch on a couple of other things that we were going to mention as part of the annual members meeting, which is that we invite questions from members of the public to the meeting. And we give a timescale in which those questions are to be submitted so that they're in advance of the meeting and we can respond to those. We've got a couple of questions that have been raised in relation to put to the annual members meeting. Some of them are quite detailed, and we will make sure that we actually respond where we can. We'll publish some of those responses if they're not of a personal nature, but obviously if they're a personal nature, we will respond directly to the individuals that have raised the questions. And of course, we will put the slides on the website as we will with the recording of this session. So apologies for the technical glitch. I'm sure Anne will be absolutely devastated that she's not been able to join us for the whole of the session. But I don't think there's any point in us delaying the meeting and keeping you any longer on a Friday afternoon, because I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and for your continued interest, I suppose, in the work of the Trust, your questions and feedback, and obviously the ongoing support. Oh, Anne, you're back. Hi. I can see you've got, oh, you're back. Anne, hi. Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you now. Yeah.
I just wanted to apologise for the technical hitch, and just draw members and the public to the slides if they have the opportunity to look at them, because they do illustrate a lot of the work that the governors on a day-to-day basis are doing to look at quality, to look at patient care. We're very proactive in observing meetings and hearing what's going on, but we also are as proactive as we possibly can be in going out there and triangulating what we see. Our staff governors really illustrate to us the challenges that we face out there, and our patients give us the feedback. And I just want to assure the public that the Council of Governors are becoming more and more engaged, and their plans for the future are to become even more engaged and involved with our members. So I want to say thank you to the members, but I also want to thank the governors for the work that they've done this year.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And I'm sorry you've had some technical difficulties, because I know you've prepared for this session today. So I really appreciate that, and all that you do in leading our governors across the trust as well. It's extremely valuable. It certainly makes my life a lot easier, and it's definitely the a valuable contribution to our insight and across those range of networks that you mentioned right at the very beginning. So I was just wrapping up the meeting in the sense of saying thank you to colleagues for that engagement and helping us to learn and improve so that we can deliver better services across the trust and support everybody that relies on us. And obviously, looking ahead, I would like to encourage you to stay engaged. And I know that's been a plea of yours, and particularly for our governors to get involved in some of the things that you've set out in terms of that participation, but particularly as our partners as well, working across the trust and in our communities to help improve those health and well-being across our community. Really appreciate that. And obviously, a big thank you to our colleagues across every service and discipline. I think, we're immensely proud of everything that they do. And finally, just it would be remiss of me to not mention this, that with in amongst winter right now, I can't even say it's approaching, we're definitely in it. A reminder that obviously one of the most simplest things that we can all do to protect ourselves and others is to get our flu jab. So if you're eligible, please do book yours because it does make a real difference. A thank you to the team for helping put this together, and particular big thank you to Owen and Anne for walking us through some of the key achievements over the last 12 months and the things that we've got ahead of us. And thank you all again for joining us today, and look forward to working with you all again in the year ahead. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you.